Can I just repeat the question so we can have it on the video, please?
I talked about lawlessness in Russia. Isn't it true that there are 100,000 Nazis running around each day? What do you pertain to? You mean?
Well, you said that the law order seems to have, has improved somewhat under your presidency. And after watching a documentary last week, there's some more evidence to say that actually it's got worse, and there's also further evidence to say that due to your actual nationalist rhetoric, the level of Nazism has grown.
Sorry, can I just repeat the question for the video? The question is about President Putin's record on fighting crime, and the claim is made by the audience member that it's actually increased. So Putin, would you like to respond to that?
Okay, yeah, the lady here talks about nationalist rhetoric and how it's inflated nationalism and crime figures. I would say that I would absolutely disassociate myself with any Nazi propaganda or any alien nationalism or led straight into racism. Nationalism without aggressiveness can be as effective and is necessary for Russia. Most crime statistics show that the crime has fallen in Russia. We've introduced the UPK, which has brought in liberties and rights and helped reduce violence. We brought in the Administrative Violations Code, which has helped aid things like antisocial behaviour and other forms. But of course, when it comes to these people, when they spout the rhetoric they do, often with the hand of alien finances, we need to do something about this. And we will, and I completely disassociate myself from such rhetoric. And I would again point out that crime by most barometers has fallen, and partially due to United Russia.
Thank you, Mr. President. Would any other candidate like to comment on that?
Yeah, can I just say something about it? I think that was a bit of a wishy-washy response from the so-called G8 president, to be honest. And I think that what we need to do in Russia at the moment is, like I said in my speech, we need to create a Ministry of National Security with wide-ranging powers. And that's without political supervision. The president, all the president was saying there was, oh, well, it was bad a long time ago, it's just got slightly better now, so don't moan about it because it's better than it was. When really, like you were saying, the crime statistics show that, crime is at an appalling rate in this country. So.
Mr. Liberal Democrat, why do you propose to get the money in order to actually form this anti-terror thing? And also, you talk about wide powers, but you haven't specified what powers. I'm sorry if I'm a little bit sceptical of Russian parties, but wide powers scares me. I mean, what do you mean by wide powers? What will their powers be? I don't like the idea of just a general overseeing of wide powers.
The audience member asked the question. Sorry, I just need to repeat it for the video. The audience member asked the question that where will the Liberal Democrats get the money to fund these new anti-terror and anti-crime organisations? And also she's dubious about how this could lead to more authoritarian government. Would you like to respond to that?
With the issue of wide-ranging powers, I would say, take the governors and take the local government, for example. The president at the moment does not entrust local governors with more money for regional development and regional powers. So therefore, we would say on that issue, we would scrap local government elections. That's not to say, this is not to say that we believe in less democracy. We'd have universal presidential elections, universal parliamentary elections, but if those governors were appointed by the president himself, and a lot depends on the highest official, then they would enjoy more credibility and more money will remain on a local level, as it will not be stolen by criminal groups. And criminal groups have an effect on our every aspect of our lives, economic and social.
Sorry, that already happens. We already nominate local governors. I don't know how much attention you're paying to it. The motions you put forward, United Russia, pass them through the Parliament, we nominate governors to local legislature and they confirm it. So, sorry to stick with something.
You appoint local governors.
Well, we nominate, and the local elections.
Yeah, but nominate is not the same as appoint, though, is it?
Well, it's slightly more democratic than appoint.
No, but it's not an issue of democracy.
Oh, it's not.
No, it's not. I'm sorry. Look, I knew you would plug this one because this is what everybody says when I make these points. Like I stated before, it's not. I don't want democracy. We will have presidential elections. We will have parliamentary elections. But for these governors, they need to be appointed by the president himself. Appointed.
It seems that my two comrades are very confused. I don't think either of them really know what they want. Man on my right says he likes democracy, but he's going to scrap elections. Then Mr. Putin claims to say that he's fighting crime, yet Nazism is much on the rise in Russia. That just seems to be what's really the issue is we need unity, and it doesn't depend on, you know, I like a united Russia, not on the basis of Slavic, of whether someone's an Orthodox Christian, whatever religion someone is. It doesn't matter to me whether you're a Muslim Russian, a Jewish Russian, a Christian Russian. If you're Russian, then you're good enough to be part of the Communist Party. And I think that is the issue. And both of you are preaching xenophobia, and I think you're harbouring xenophobia and creating it with your policies.
This is very opportunistic of you, because nationalism is a part of the Russian ideal, and nationalism has been a part of Russia for a long time. Perhaps you should read this part of Russian history before you talk, because nationalism can be patriotism, and it can be belief in a great Russia without it straying into racism, xenophobia. And as I said, we disassociate, and we will persecute who stray into such means.
But I think
sorry, would your local spokesman like to comment? Sorry.
Just going back to the point about getting rid of democracy for the governors, how can you claim to be a democratic party yet you're taking away democracy at one of the lowest levels? You're taking democracy away from the people of Russia. You can't just do things from like the top down. You need to go from the bottom, basically.
Yep, please feel free to respond.
Like, you know, I'm going to have to obviously state this more than once, you know, during the course of this discussion. We will have presidential elections. There will be parliamentary elections. But for these local governors, they will be appointed by the president. A lot rests on the president himself. We are a democratic party. So, you know.
But at the end of the day, the people are going to associate more with the governors, not necessarily a president who's far, far away. They're going to be looking for someone who's like local, rather than say someone who's sat in Moscow or something who could be like hundreds and hundreds of miles away from them.
But the governors will be appointed. The governors will be appointed by the president. They will still be accountable. They will still be accountable to the people, but they will be appointed.
I'd just briefly like to go back to the point that our great president made a short while ago about how if I looked into Russian history, I would see that nationalism has always been a part of Russian history, but that xenophobia and racism hasn't always. But then I'd just like to forget which party was it who was in power for the last 80 years of Russian history up until 1990. Or 70 years. So to say that we can have Russian nationalism without xenophobia, without racism, I think he's just exemplified himself. This can only take place under a communist government.
Okay, yeah. Are there any other questions from the audience? Okay, yeah. Just before we take that question, sorry, we're just going to announce the results of the first round of voting.
Okay, as things stand, the number who voted against all the parties was 1.